Okay, we've all been there, right? You've got this huge, important task just staring you down, and doing literally anything else sounds better than starting. Well, today, we're going to dive into a super simple but really powerful psychological trick to get over that hump. And it all starts with a little lie you tell yourself. It's such a universal feeling, isn't it? That first push to just get going can feel like trying to move a mountain. But why is that? What's actually happening in our brains that makes starting something so much harder than, just keeping it going? You can feel it. It's that report you have to write, or that closet you need to clean out, or maybe a big project you've got to plan. It just sits there, kind of looming in the back of your mind, and it feels like it gets heavier and more dreadful with every hour that passes. And your brain? Oh, it puts up a fight. It creates this powerful mental friction, this big wall of, I'll do it later, or I just don't have the energy right now. And that right there, that is the heart of procrastination, that gap between what you intend to do and what you actually do. But what if we could trick our brain into closing that gap for us?
And this is where our little trick comes in. It's a technique so simple you might actually doubt it could ever work, but it taps into a really fascinating quirk of our psychology. It's called the 10-minute lie.
This is the lie. This is the simple bargain you make with yourself. See, it's not, I have to finish this entire monstrous task right this second. No, it's just, I'll work on it for 10 minutes. Anyone can do 10 minutes, right? It's such a low-stakes agreement that it feels completely manageable, which makes it super easy for your brain to just say, okay, fine.
And pulling it off is just as simple as the lie itself. First, you pick that one thing you've been putting off. Second, you set a timer on your phone for exactly 10 minutes. And third, and this is the most important part, you just begin. Don't even think about the finish line, just focus on taking that first tiny step.
So why does this ridiculously simple lie work so well? Well, the magic isn't really in the 10 minutes. It's in what the act of starting actually does to your brain. And to really get that, we need to talk about the science of the incomplete. So the story actually starts way back in the 1920s with a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik. She was sitting in a cafe in Vienna, and she noticed something kind of weird. The waiters could remember these incredibly complex, unpaid orders perfectly, but the second the bill was paid, poof, they completely forgot the order. And that little observation gave birth to a pretty powerful psychological idea. And that idea is called the Zeigarnik Effect. To put it simply, our brains hate unfinished business. Once we start something, it just kind of lingers in our minds, nagging at us, pushing us to finish it. You see, the paid order was a closed task, but that unpaid order, that was an open one. This nagging feeling is what psychologists call cognitive tension. You can think of it like a mental itch that you just have to scratch. When a task is unfinished, your brain keeps it in this state of high alert, and it dedicates a little bit of mental energy to reminding you, hey, this thing is still here, it's waiting. So the moment you work on that task for just a few seconds, the second you open your laptop or you write that first sentence or you pick up that first piece of clothing to organize, you are opening what's known as a mental loop. You've officially signaled to your brain that this task has now begun. And here's the best part. Once that loop is open, your brain's natural, deep-seated desire for completion and closure totally takes over. That cognitive tension kicks in, and suddenly the brain starts pushing you to finish instead of you having to push yourself to start. So you see what's happening? The 10-minute lie masterfully hijacks that internal system. You're not fighting your brain anymore. You're using its own wiring to your advantage. This is exactly why just starting is winning. I mean, just look at the contrast here. Before you start, the resistance is sky high. The task feels enormous, and your motivation is probably at rock bottom. But just 10 minutes in, everything changes. The Zeigarnik Effect has created that cognitive tension. You've built a little bit of momentum, and all of a sudden, the task doesn't seem so scary anymore. It actually feels manageable. So, the really crucial point is this. The hardest part was never the work itself. It was just getting started. By tricking yourself into beginning, you basically flip a switch in your brain. That open loop creates this gentle but persistent pull forward, making it psychologically more uncomfortable to stop than to just keep going. You've created your own momentum. So now the question becomes, how can you use this? This isn't just some fun piece of psychology trivia, it's a real, practical tool that you can start using the second this explainer is over. So think about it. Right now, what's that one thing on your to-do list that's been staring at you for days or maybe even weeks?
All you have to do is lie to yourself. Just tell yourself you'll open the loop for only 10 minutes. What happens next might just surprise you.